Greetings, friend. I'm surprised you're here, but I'm glad for the company. It's hard to work and harder still in the dark. We can talk while I dig. This town. It's not my first home, nor will it be my last. It's the town that I founded, that I made. Oh, you think me vain? Me, Machias Rice, guilty. I loved this town. Loved. Past tense. Gone is the school, the post office, and the smell of buffalo hide being turned into fine leather. I should stoke the fire. Can you see me? Although it's more important that you listen. Keep your ears open for predators. Out here is all manner of dangerous beast. I wouldn't want something to hurt you. I work, you listen. I'll tell you some stories. I have a few. A man like me has more than one story. I seem to collect them. I lived many places in Maine before here. I tell people what the... Oh, the train. I'd better get on with it. Oh, yes, it's later than I thought. That train doesn't wait for anyone. Not anymore.
Do you have a place in your dreams you keep going back to? Like, you can't keep from going back to? For me, it's a bridge. Up on the old dump road. The place I ended up when the boss kicked me out of the house. That's what I call my father. He fired me too. From the shingle mill. I moved into this old rusted out Model T truck someone junked in the woods. A little tree grows up through the floorboards and pushes out the windshield. Ants and things crawl up the trunk. I fell asleep this afternoon reading my encyclopedia, and when I woke up, I heard the end of the world. How do you know what the end of the world sounds like? I don't know. But you know it when you hear it. They call this place Madrid, not Madrid. Maine, not Spain. Someone found gold here in the 1800s. Next thing you know, you got a town full of prospectors and sawmills and railroad trains hauling lumber and logs and shingles. Even the bridge is made out of wood. Nothing ever got made out of gold. Hear that? Bats. I'm not afraid of bats. 'Cause bats are blind, so they fly right through me. I stole the encyclopedia from the library. A through B. Bats eat bugs. A bunch of fruit flies made me cry this afternoon. Could have been this afternoon. Could have been 50 years ago. Could have been 50 years ahead. Time's a funny thing. A fruit fly's lifespan is 24 hours. I don't know how fruit flies die. Maybe they kill themselves. But right now they're happy together. And I'm hiding in this rust bucket off the old dump road, crying myself to sleep. Oh well. Life goes on. And on. That's the sound! The train that killed Johnny Flowers. I was 12. Johnny Flowers was 14. He never knew me, but he was all I ever thought about. All day, all night, kissing Johnny Flowers. He was always in trouble, and I was always kissing him. He had long, shaggy hair, so all you could see was his nose, and he wore this raggedy jacket all the time, walking down the road, going nowhere. You'd always see him walking. He's still walking. I know it. Tell you what, after he jumped, I started walking too. Sneak out every night, walk all over town in my own raggedy jacket, just like Johnny Flowers. Constable finally snuck up on me. "What the heck you doing out alone at this hour?" "Looking for someone." "Looking for who?" "A dead boy." So the boss yanks me out of school and puts me to work at his shingle mill, in charge of sawdust, 16 hours a day, trying to wear me down so I'd sleep at night. What are the mental supposed to do, crawl in a hole? No, they do the shit work. At least they work. Yeah? Hey, mental, wheel this load of shit down to the river. Dump it in. Aye, boss. Hey, mental, where you been? I did the shit work like you told me, boss. That was 3 hours ago. The river's right there. River? I thought you said the railroad tracks. Where's my wheelbarrow, damn it? Oh, smashed to hell. I jumped it over the bridge where Johnny Flowers jumped. And that got me a trip to the insane hospital in Augusta for shock treatments. Rats. Once people started moving out of town and the sawmills closed down, the dump turned into Rat City. So they bulldozed over the top. See that black hill? Rats and things live underground now, with the doll houses and radios. Sometimes you hear music. On Father's Day one time, the boss took me for a ride up here to watch the trains. Just him and me, I was 4. And right around here, he goes, "Holy moly," and jams on the brakes. He says, "Don't move," and grabs his .22 from the rack and runs out the door. When I heard the gunshots, I thought it was the hobos, and then this big black shadow comes jumping from tree to tree, bigger and bigger. He gets back in the truck and puts up the gun. 2 biggest rats I ever seen dragging a raven underground. I got one of them. The raven? No, a rat. What happened to the raven? I told you, damn it. He got pulled under. Car. Don't worry, they can't see me. Some can. Slam on the brakes, step out the door. You see that? I swear to God, boys, I think I just seen the bridge girl. The bridge girl. Like I'm some kind of legend. They say it's an aura. A-U-R-A. Aura. An energy field around things that clairvoyants claim to see. Now there's a fancy word for mental. I've seen auras all my life. Best not to mention that either. If you call them ghosts, they call you mental and stick electrodes on your head. Just a fox. It's okay. They see me, a lot of them. Same with dogs. Coyotes, wolves, which are just dogs gone wild. For my birthday yesterday, the last yesterday I remember, my mother made me an angel food cake. 18 candles. So I blow out the candles one at a time. 18 blows. And Ma starts crying. The boss goes, "Happy birthday. You've come of age now." And he hands me his satchel. "What do you mean? I gotta move out?" "But I got nowhere to go." "We got a room for you." "Room where?" "Down to Augusta, where you got the electric treatment." "The insane hospital?" Ma goes to the sink, and I go out that door so fast it just about blinded me. That train conductor, he sees me every time. I bet he has nightmares. Me? I dream peaceful, like I'm floating down the sandy river toward a beautiful sunrise. Or maybe I wander into a white room in a white house, furniture, carpet, everything so white and quiet. Then the back door shooshes open and it's all bright light outside. But I never go to the light. I wake up in the rust bucket again. It's dark. That's when the rumble starts. The end of the world. And I start walking to the bridge. Am I awake? Asleep? Is it 1933? Some nights when I get there, the tracks are gone. There's just deer down there and long moon shadows or a pack of coyotes. Sometimes it's all snow. And these tiny jalopies fly by like rockets. Talk about mental. Every time I jump, it feels like the first time. And here we are. They say when you die, you're supposed to go to the light. Johnny Flowers wouldn't go to no light. He'd think it was the road to hell. That's why I keep coming back to the place where he jumped. The way I heard it, Johnny's father kept getting drunk on the job, so one day my father fires him. So Mr. Flowers goes home and beats up Johnny. So Johnny comes down here drinking with his big brother's gang, and when the train comes by, Johnny climbs up on the rail like this, and he goes, "Hey, Tommy, see you in Florida!" His brother said he tried to jump on a load of Christmas trees. The other guy said he did it on purpose. Who's ever gonna know? But I ain't going to no light without him. Hey, Johnny Flowers! The world ends a million times every second. People, fruit flies, wolves, bats, ravens, rats in a dollhouse, dogs gone wild, girls gone mental, and a boy lost in time. Maybe this time.
Love. Love drives us to the end, and sometimes beyond. Poor girl. Ooh, I am thirsty. Delicious. My own concoction. Oh, it's nice to have someone to talk to. You're a good listener. Oh, this town. Riceville. Yes, we named it after ourselves, my brother and I. 136 souls, down to 75. 76, now that you're here. Oh, it was so nice. But everyone who could left after the fire. The fire burned so bright. It looked like the sun had set down in the middle of Riceville. Like it had taken offense at our small town, as if it couldn't be allowed to remain. It had to burn. All of it. The smoke was so thick that I couldn't tell Henry from Hank. Oh yes, we fought it, but the fire was more than we could handle. It was as if it had an unseen accomplice. But who? Who? Now it's burning. What took years to build is gone in mere hours. All that's left is unrecognizable char. But out of the fire, I was reborn to take what is mine and reap my rewards. What am I saying? A flood of words from my mouth. Oh. Rain. Ah, water. It trickles and gathers, waiting to embrace you. Beware of what's underneath.
Flagstaff was a town cursed from the start, founded as it was by the traitor Benedict Arnold, and sitting on the banks of the dead river. No wonder, then, it ended up at the bottom of a lake. "They gonna flood the town!" Rideout Junkins called to Nellie Porter as she was trying to shoo the maleficent, malevolent, raggedy old barn cat away from her bird feeders. Rideout was a boy near enough the same age as Nellie, who was 10. As ever, he sat on the back of Elfie, his lazy-looking horse of suspicious bloodlines. Nellie pushed back a loose thread of hair and looked over at Rideout. "What?" "They're gonna build a dam and flood the town, Nellie," Rideout said. "That's just plain nonsense," Nellie said. "It's true," the boy said. Nellie advanced on Rideout. "Hogwash!" she yelled. "You can't go and flood a whole town. You ride out now. Get!" "The floods are coming, Nellie," Rideout said, turning Elfie away. "Best prepare."
How serious is this? Is this something that we need to be terrified of, or is this overblown, or how do you stand on this?
Well, first of all, you have to understand the timing of it in the sense that it's just beginning.
As the pandemic raged eastward, and the pause extended week after week, Mira and her mother and their little dog, Yo-Yo, left Boston and came north. And so it was a gnarled old man with a yellow smile and a dead eye, named Rideout Junkins, handed them a key to the little cabin by the lake. "Mind the cat," he said as he climbed into his rusted bucket of a pickup truck and drove off. "What cat?" Mira asked, looking around. The cabin was made of dark wood, with a green metal roof and a screened-in porch. It was set back from the shore of the lake about 40 feet. There was a stone fire pit and a shed filled up with life jackets and paddles and fishing gear and a small sunny patch of a garden, but she didn't see any cat. "Spooky," Mira said to her mother and bent over to give Yo-Yo a cat pat. Mira's mom took a deep, clean breath. "I think we made a good choice coming here, Mira. Look at the lake." In the fall of 1949, they started to burn the woods, and they kept at it through the spring. That summer, with the last of the fires burning out and the dam nearly complete, the people of Flagstaff threw a going-away party for the town. When her father handed Nellie an ice cream cone, she threw it to the ground and screamed, "You're all a pack of fools, evil and drunk!" Nellie ran home, past the cemetery where they'd already dug up her mom and everyone else, moved them up to Stratton. Tears streamed from her eyes, and the smoke and fires had everything a sickly, smoldered orange. "Is there really a town down there, Mom?" Mira asked. Her mother was looking across the water to the mountains rising, fuzzy bears over the pine trees. "That's what they say, Mira." Mira leaned over the edge of the canoe, straining her eyes to see further down. She ventured a hand over the gentle swell and slipped her fingers below. "Oh!" Mira jumped back, rocking the canoe violently, and it was some moments before her mother could settle it back down, and several moments more before Yo-Yo recovered from the fright. "What was that?" Mira's mother asked. Mira tried to calm her breathing. "Something touched my hand," her mother sighed. "I'm sure it was just a fish. It felt like fingers." When they got back to the cabin, they saw a great gray thing of a cat, with matted hair and torn ears, sitting on the edge of the lake. The cat looked straight at Mira. One eye was green, like a mountainside in spring, and the other blue, like the last light of day. The old house broke when the men from the company tried to lift it onto the back of a flatbed, and a beam caught Nellie's father on the head. They took him to the hospital down in Augusta and sent Nellie to stay with her cousins in Eustis. She snuck away the second night and made her way down the dark roads to home. The only things still standing were the chimney and the barn. She took just 10 steps before her toes met the water, and she froze from the shock. "No, no, no," she said. A sound from the barn made Nellie turn. There was the cat at the door, inviting her in. A light fog, like a breath, appeared on Mira's window. A breath that evaporated and then reappeared. Mira slid out from under the covers and went to the window. The breath was just at a height as if she were the one doing the breathing. Again it was there, and again it vanished. "Hello?" she said. She heard nothing. But there was the breath again, and she bent forward. In the silvery blue mist appeared a face, much like her own, and a mouth, opening to say something. "Mira!" her mother said from the bed. "What is it?" "I saw a ghost." Rideout pushed through the water to the ladder and made his way up to the loft, where he found Nellie tucked into a corner with a dark shadow in her lap. "Let's get you home, Nellie," he said. "Leave me be," Nellie hissed. "Come on, Nellie," Rideout said. He reached out his hand for her, and then the creature's claws slashed at Rideout's face, cutting his eye and drawing blood from his cheek. He yelped and fell. The company men found Rideout just about an hour before he might have drowned, thanks to Elf. They took a quick look around, but didn't see any sign of little girls or vicious cats hiding in the loft. They got the boy into the truck before the rising water trapped them all. Do you believe in ghosts, Mama? Her mother took a sip of her coffee. I believe in energy. So, I think, she said after another sip, that the energy stored within us can sometimes get attached to a certain place, and that energy stays in that place and becomes what we think of as a ghost. The old cat hopped up onto his stump down by the water. Dark clouds gathered beyond the mountain. Do you think the cat is a ghost? Yo-Yo growled. I think, her mother said, looking over the lake, we're going to get a storm today. Lightning tore the sky. Rain fell in sheets, and thunder threw waves against the sodden planks of the barn. Nellie crawled to the loft door to look out. The cat nuzzled up to Nellie as pieces of the house floated by. Nellie picked the old girl up. Can't stay here anymore, she said. We'll make for one of those planks and get to shore. The cat blinked, and Nellie stood, edging out onto the beam. As they hit water, the cat tore itself from Nellie's grasp. Nellie's feet touched the bottom, and she shoved herself back to the surface. Nellie saw the cat struggling to swim. She reached out for her, but the waves smashed into her, and now she was in trouble. Help! Help! Mom, Mira yelled. Someone's out there! What? Her mother stirred as Mira ran out into the storm. It was nearly impossible to see through the darkness, but something was splashing and struggling in the water. Mira dove in and swam out to it. Mira! Her mother called from far away. Nellie lost all sense of direction, and the rain seemed determined to pound her down into the lake. Every breath felt heavy and wet. Her head went under. She felt her arms going stiff and cold. But then, she felt an arm slide across her chest. She felt a body press against her. I've got you, a girl's voice said. Nellie screamed and fought to climb the body up to the air. Let go! Mira screamed. Nellie tried to climb, but the body kept going under. It wouldn't let go. It was pulling her down with it. Mira wrenched the arm off her neck. Nellie twisted and clawed. The two girls sank together, clutching and grasping until they could fight no more. A pale light drifted down with them. Who are you? Mira said. I'm Nellie. Who are you? I'm Mira. The girls held hands. Do you live here? Nellie asked. No, Mira said. We're just visiting. Oh, Nellie said. Do you? Yes, Nellie said. This is where I live. The girls heard splashing above their heads. Mira? Mira! The voice was muffled and distant. That's my mom, Mira said. Nellie looked sad. My mom's dead. I'm sorry, Mira said. My father's in the hospital, and I'm all alone. Even the cat swam away. Nellie's fingers tightened on Mira's wrist. You're hurting me! Help! Nellie screamed. A sickly glow came into Nellie's eyes, and by its light, Mira could see trees burning and water rising. She saw the dead dug up and their empty graves. She saw a broken house and a barn filled with tiny bones floating in dark water. She saw a cat, its gray fur matted and dripping, sprawl onto a shore. Mira pulled Nellie to her. She wrapped her arms around. "You have to let go, Nellie," she said. "I don't want to," Nellie said. "This is my home." "You have to let go." "I know." They held each other's faces in each other's hands. Nellie's eyes were blue, like the last light of day. Mira's eyes were green, like a mountainside in spring. Mira felt the body go limp. She let it go and watched it disappear down into the gloom. Mira woke up with her mother leaning over her, Yo-Yo licking her face, and the taste of mucky water in her mouth. Her head hurt terribly, but at least it wasn't raining anymore. "What were you thinking?" her mother said. Mira looked at her arms. There were thin claw marks and bruises beginning to darken all up and down them. "I had to help Nellie," Mira said. "But she's okay now. I hope." The town of Flagstaff is mostly forgotten these days. The museum is shuttered, and Rideout Junkins is about the last person to remember where the old roads used to go. But the whispers can still be heard over the water, and the cat still prowls the shore.
Yes, water is tricky. You never tell what lurks below. It could be a town, dreaming of its people. This is the loneliest hour of the night. Equal distance from sunset to sunrise. We're in the middle. As close to heaven as to... If I dig this hole any deeper, we'll both be in... Hello. Oh, don't look so frightened. Oh. Oh, yes. It sounds like the old captain is a-hunting again.
O people of Cranberry Isles, well you know how Captain S. Hadlock was lost long ago. They found him, gun poised on bent knee in the snow, hard frozen, encased by a stiff Arctic blow. And some of you islanders also might tell how Hadlock was bound for a circle of hell, reserved for those humans with egos so swelled that they wreaked devastation wherever they dwelled. For surely he'd make a most powerful ghost, his stubbornness being far greater than most, but spirits far stronger, a heavenly host, have held him at bay and protected the coast. Sam Hadlock's maniacal, egoist craves led many to exile, and more to their graves. His dead could have risen, but stayed midst the waves for eternity, making sure Hadlock behaves. You'll hear them in gull calls and fishhawks' shrill screeches. you'll hear them in loons, crying warnings from beaches. The seal in the harbor keeps watch and beseeches all spirit guards always to broaden their reaches. In wild, wintry storms from the north, you can hear it, the raging of Hadlock's persistence. Oh, fear it, he seeks a new host to retether his spirit. He'd spin his vile name ever slyly to clear it. But power in numbers. Let's hope it prevails. This ghost army rides with your seals and your whales, and with sea mistress Sedna, old woman of tales, and on winds that fly dancing in billowing sails. Just listen and hear all their woes and their grief. The victims whose only mistake was belief in a blowhard, who fancied himself a great chief, who'd never turn over a humbler new leaf. The slaughter of sea mammals, just the beginning of Hadlock's transgressions, his lifetime of sinning. He lured us from homes with his showman's face grinning, to feed his obsessions for gaining and winning. Oh, I and the young Inuk mother, beguiled by Hadlock's sweet lies of a land rich and wild. I left home forever with husband and child, across the great seas that swelled rampant and wild. 'Twas sea woman Sedna, she tried to alert me that Hadlock was shallow and soon would desert me. He made me feign ignorance, worked to pervert me, to please gawking crowds who would touch, poke, and hurt me. In festering cities my child's health declined. At my pleas to sail home, Hadlock stood deaf and blind. She sickened and died. I went out of my mind and chose death over living, for death was more kind. Oh, I am her grieved Inuk man, stricken down. He showed me at fairs and at court like a clown. For 3 years I grieved and wished only to drown, but Hadlock saw nothing but his own renown. I had to push Ulu, our only dog left, to drag my sled daily, courageous and deft. When Ulu expired, I was newly bereft, my family all stolen through Hadlock's cruel theft. 'Twas then I heard word through his crew's undertones. He'd sold their dead bodies to pay off his loans. The scientists took them to study their bones. Then madness destroyed me. I died, drowned in groans. But even in death I did not make escape. He ravaged my body, a posthumous rape, by stuffing and showing my corpse 'neath a drape, where audience members filed through, mouths agape. His Inuit victims were dead. No surprise that Hadlock's despicable zoo saw demise. He cut all his losses and sailed with his prize, a Prussian new wife, newest dupe to his lies. Back home in the Cranberries, Hadlock, undaunted, regaled tales of grandeur, his gold snuff-box flaunted. He spun a new scheme of great riches he vaunted to sailors, convinced he'd provide what they wanted. His plan was for more exhibitions abroad. With seals taxidermy, the folks will be awed. My fame will rekindle, my name they will laud. But Hadlock's ambitions were fatally flawed. I'm Samuel, his first wife's first child out of 3. Mom died, and he left us 4 years for a spree as a showman in Europe, then home again. he hatched the scheme that would lead to my death in the sea. Oh, we are the crew of the Minerva, the ship of 18 bright sailors upon that doomed trip. Our captain, magnetic in presence, firm grip, held all of us spellbound until his last slip. Our hold was a-bursting with seal pelts, fresh slaughter. The weather was turning, a-churning the water. He cried, "One more seal, I can't leave till I've got her." He ditched our ship, icebound. It started to totter. Immersed in the stench of the seal flesh decay, our panic caught fire like a barn full of hay. 2 sailors plunged headlong into the iced bay. Some shrieked, and some wept, and some dropped down to pray. Minerva was slowly be crushed by the ice, and no sign of Hadlock to give us advice. Its planks strained and screamed till the hull paid the price. We perished in fear, man and seal, rats and mice. Oh, we are the families who had to outlast it, the years of not knowing, the hopes that were blasted. When finally word came, we cursed that old bastard. No loss to the Cranberries ever surpassed it. 'Twas Inuit 4 years gone by, told the story. They'd found Hadlock frozen, all blue-iced and gory, just yards from his half-sunken, frozen old dory. The distant Minerva, she'd slumped down to glory. They chipped away, vigorous at his corpse statue. They said his dead eyes, icy blue, glared right at you. They called out their fastest ice chopper, named Taktu, dumped H in an ice hole where corpses can't catch you. At least that's the story. But some people think that the Inuit tossed him alive in the drink. They avenged their killed family with nary a blink and watched with stern eyes as they let the man sink. The Prussian wife, angered by promises made, had seen her dead husband's last failed escapade. She hurled his collection, his stuffed seal parade, into the great ocean. Their rescue forbade. The relinquished dead seals, some folks hoped, might appease the spirit of Hadlock, locked in a deep freeze. They hoped he'd stay put in the cold Arctic seas, and corrupt no more souls, and pay heed to their pleas. But don't underestimate power and art of fiery charisma in icy cold heart. Old Hadlock's ambitions were so off the chart that even in death he persists in his part. On cold Arctic winds, he still slips under floors of cranberry houses and boathouses' doors. He tries to find some fragile soul's poisoned shores where he can sneak in with his wiles and abhors. But all of his dead their true promises keep. They watch o'er the living, awake and asleep. They ride on the gentle winds over the deep, on fins or on feathers that fly, swim or creep. While Hadlock, charisma-drenched cad, roams the land, he'll have to contend with this afterlife band. Those souls choosing never to rise, ever damned to thwart the malevolent egoist's hand. They'll keep up their watch and try always their best, but egos are mighty, as all can attest. There's always a chance some great force, so obsessed, might slip past their guard. Then your soul he's possessed. Oh, people of Cranberry Isles, listen well. Beware false bravado. Don't fall for its spell. 'Twas harrowing horrors his victims befell. Don't let yourself fall into that kind of hell.
pride and greed. If a man has 2 of the 7, he knows that he'll have to pay what he owes eventually. The old captain wasn't a friend of mine, but I'd be lying if I didn't see some similarities. I should be scared of fire. Should be, but I'm not. No, I rather like it. How will I be remembered? To be remembered is to be pursued. I have only to collect. I have earned what is coming to me. No matter where I go, I come away richer than I arrived. Yes, I made my luck. That's what I hope you remember about me.
The house stood at the edge of the woods, overlooking the river. Its white paint peeled from the walls like sunburn. Padlocks hung from the doors. Presumably the rangers who took care of this island had put those there to stop people like Lauren from snooping around. A cellar yawned in its side yard. Its door collapsed inward like a warning. According to the sign, this house had been built around 1760 and abandoned long ago. Lauren peered in through the window. She could make out a wooden floor, a pale blue wall, a fallen board with nails poking out of it, a door to the kitchen slightly ajar, a deer's skull, and a tumble of bones. She stepped back, blinking. Red maples glowed in the October light. Up on the hill, her yellow tent gleamed beside an Adirondack lean-to. Other than the ranger, she was the only person on the island, just as she had hoped. Before she could think too much about it, she pulled off her wedding ring and threw it into the night black hole of the cellar. Good riddance! She heard a faint clink as it hit the stone. Then she started back up to her campsite. Freshly divorced, with one son embarking on an Ivy League education and the other safely installed at a New York law firm, Lauren was ready for some me time. Camping for a weekend was the perfect opportunity to reconnect with herself. She'd hoped for a clear sky, the dust of a Milky Way, but heavy clouds suggested she was in for a stormy night. Swan Island lay in the middle of the Kennebec River, just across from the town of Richmond. On the ferry ride over, the ranger had started to tell her that the island had once been used by the Kennebec tribe as a summer hunting ground, before European diseases and decades of battle had decimated their population. Lauren had put a quick end to that history lesson. "Nothing depressing, please," she said. "I'm here on vacation." The ranger gave her a wry smile. "We should remember the people who were here before us. It was their land first." Well, that was annoying. What was she supposed to do about it? It wasn't her fault they had died. These park rangers were always trying to tell you something historical or scientific to ruin your day. "And next you're going to tell me about global warming destroying everything," she snapped. "Well, we do have some sensitive tidal flats here. The birds depend on them to survive. But there's still a lot we can do to save them." "Listen," said Lauren, "I don't want to hear about any of that. I'm just here to relax. I recycle. I reuse my shopping bags, okay? The last thing I want to hear about on my vacation is dead people and rising sea levels." The ranger said nothing. Back at her campsite, she made a cup of green tea and sat looking out over the river. She thought she saw a boat in the shadows on the far bank. Was it? She couldn't tell. The light and leaf shadows were playing tricks on her eyes. She set down her mug and went to look. Yes, there was a boat carrying 2 people with their backs to her. One was dipping a long tube into the water. There was something strange about them. "Hello?" she called out. but they didn't hear. The boat was moving faster now, swiftly away down the river, though she couldn't hear an engine. Curious, wanting to see their faces, she ran along on the rocks, climbing over an outcrop of the bank, around the bend to see better. It was gone. The boat had vanished. How could it have moved so fast? She tried to put it out of her mind, went back to her picnic table. The tea was cold. That night, the darkness swept over her quicker than she'd expected. She crawled into her tent, grateful for her wool blanket, because the air was cool and a sharp wind was picking up. The sounds from the river were unbelievably loud. Insects buzzed and blared. Birds hooted and screeched. Frogs sang a grating, high-pitched rhythm. It sounded as though all the wild creatures were gathering right outside her tent. She wanted to unzip the flap, just to prove to herself that this wasn't true, but she couldn't bring herself to do that. Then she heard the yips and barking laughter of coyotes, and she pulled the blanket over her head. When the rain began, first the splatter of heavy drops, then a deafening downpour, she was glad that it had erased all the other noise. But soon she realized her tent was leaking. Her brand new, expensive tent was listing to one side, pooling water in the corners and dripping on her face. She must have set it up wrong. She shoved her feet into her boots and fled to the lean-to. She needed better shelter. Thunder slammed the air as she pulled the blanket around her shoulders and ran down the field to the only place she could think of, the house at the bottom of the hill. Sopping wet, blinded by rain and darkness, she ran up to the front door and yanked at the padlock. No luck! She ran around to the side of the house just as a flash of lightning revealed an open window. Frantic, she climbed over the sill and half-stepped, half-fell into the room. She could see nothing but darkness, but at least it was dry. Shivering, she lay down on the dry side of the blanket and slept. She heard the sound before she was fully awake. A faint tick, tick, tick that seeped into her dream. When she opened her eyes, the room was so dark that she couldn't see her hand in front of her face. The rain had stopped. The night was very still. Tick, 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 tick. It's a mouse, she told herself. Except mice scurried. Didn't they? They didn't tick. She listened. Was it a clock? The darkness was thick, heavy, filling her mouth, her ears, her eyes. And yet the sound continued. She tried to ignore it, telling herself to go back to sleep. Tick, 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 tick. And then it stopped. Why had it stopped? She was holding her breath. Now that it was gone, she felt abandoned, afraid. The silence pressed down. She waited. But the next sound she heard was laughter. She sat bolt upright, a low laugh, coming from the next room, the kind of laugh a person might make in conversation. Is someone there? No answer. Tick, 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 tick. The sound returned, and with it a new sound, the faint clink of glass. Then she saw a light around the edges of the kitchen door. It's not like I can sleep now. I'd better go see what it is. She felt her way across the floor. She pulled the door open and blinked against the light. Then her eyes adjusted, and she froze. There were two people, dressed in a kind of shimmering metal suit and gas masks. They knelt amid an array of scientific equipment. They hadn't noticed her. They had vials of water and a tray of yellow-breasted songbirds with crumpled beaks and twisted legs. She saw little plastic bags of specimens, a maple leaf splotched with fungus, the eyeless head of a snowy egret, a frog with a missing leg. She saw at once that the tick, tick, tick was coming from a device they were dipping into a beaker of cloudy water. Then her eye caught on another little bag. It was labeled 1990 to 2055, and inside the bag was her wedding ring. She gasped out loud, and suddenly one of the people saw her, brown eyes growing wide behind the goggles of the mask. The person shouted a panicked word in a language she didn't know, and the other looked around wildly, past her, through her, not seeing her. Lauren felt a chill turn her blood cold. I'm the ghost. These people were in the future, perhaps centuries in the future, which meant She backed out of the room and slammed the door. Dawn had come, had filled the front door with grayish light. Her blanket lay in the middle of the floor. Beside it was the deer's skull, its eye sockets gaping. And then she heard a familiar sound. The ranger's pickup truck coming down the road. She ran to the window, but it was closed. She tried to pull it open, but it wouldn't budge. In fact, when she looked closer, she saw that the thick layer of paint cemented the sash to the sill. It seemed this window hadn't been opened in years. Her heart started racing. She saw the ranger walking around the corner of the house, and she banged on the glass. "Help!" she shouted. "I'm stuck in here! Let me out!" But he didn't seem to hear her. He was heading up to her campsite now, and she watched through the window as he carried her tent and her camping gear back down the hill and threw them in the bed of the truck. He threw a quick glance at the house then, and she waved and screamed. Then he drove back up the road. She tried the front door, but it was still locked from the outside, and she couldn't get it open. There was only one way she could think of to get out of the house. The cellar door opened to the outside. She tiptoed back to the kitchen door and pulled it open, holding her breath. This time the kitchen was empty. Quickly, she went to the cellar door and yanked it open, letting it slam onto the floor. She peered in, thinking if she could just see daylight, she'd clamber down and make her way outside. But she didn't see daylight. She saw water. Dark seawater filled the depths of the cellar, and as she watched, it started to rise, inch by inch, filling the air with a brackish smell of salt and fish and rot, rising up and up until it flowed out onto the kitchen floor. She scrambled back, but it kept rising, ice cold under her feet, and there were things floating in the water, scraps of bright fabric, glass beads and baby shoes, photographs and roof shingles, rope, sunflower seeds, baskets and wooden bowls. She ran from window to window, door to door, trying to escape as the water rose higher and higher and higher.
This place is filled with ghosts. Riceville will not hound me into my new life. How selfish of me. I should have let you have a turn digging. Oh, I've searched so long. So long. Digging. Night after night after night, communing with this wretched place that I only want to escape. Can it be? Can it be? I found it. I found it. I found it! Oh my God! I found it! Oh, I found it! Oh, shh. He'll hear us. And he'll come. Never talk to the dead.
Dear Kardashian-Jenner family, look, I know you all only tweet and Instagram and probably don't know what a mailbox is. I know that you are beautiful and wealthy women. I know you all are way too cool to give a crap about me, a girl living in Maine, far, far away from California or New York or Havana or anywhere even remotely amazing. Anywhere that isn't all granite hills and haunted, rickety houses, aka Bucksport, Maine. I know this, but I'm writing you anyway because I would like you to adopt me. I'm just lonely and suddenly living in a campground because my people have died, mostly from shock, but Nana went down to diabetes. And Mom and me? We need a new family to take us away from Bucksport, Maine, which is so freaking haunted that it should be on every freaking Ghost Hunter special ever. And I need to not be here. And anyway, if I was going to get adopted, it would be pretty cool if that family was rich. Also, I promise that, 1, I am not a stalker. 2, I will never show up at your house someday or dox your stuff, okay? 3, but I have to tell someone this story. And it can't be anyone I know in real life. You'll see why. And hopefully, you'll want to rescue me. Bucksport is super haunted in a weird way. We've got a foot on a judge's tomb that won't get washed away because he killed and burnt some poor lady. There's a lot of potential rumors about that one. He was too handsy, she saw him gambling, she was pregnant with the married judge's child. He was a butt-face. Nobody knows. Our other big ghost is Sarah Ware, who was murdered. Her head bashed in and left for dead on the side of the road somewhere. Mostly decapitated. Sarah reminds me of me and my mom because that's what we're all about. Not smells, but trying to make money to survive. Trying to get out. She left Canada for here and lived with the man. Had kids. Then she wanted to go back to Canada, but she didn't belong there anymore. She probably didn't feel like she belonged anywhere. So she stayed here. Housekeeping, trying to get people to pay her on time. And one of these people, a Mr. William Trevergy, allegedly didn't pay her on time. She was scraping by, trying to survive. And she probably stalked by the divorced man's house for her money. It wasn't a good idea. They found her by smell. Lovely, right? She was off Miles Lane right by our high school. Right by this campground. And her almost cut-off head was resting on her own raincoat, which someone put neatly under her hair. Sometimes I think you can find my mom by smell. Especially after we left our last 2 haunted house with a perv ghost and had to move to the campground where we have to shower in a big restroom with stalls. All the other people here are travelers and vacationing, but we're permanent this summer and hoping to save up enough money for a non-haunted place to stay this winter. Spoiler alert! That's why I want you to adopt me, because staying in a campground sucks. And there are 0 places in Bucksport that aren't haunted. I don't think I'm anything special attracting ghosts. It's just Bucksport is so full of them. The most famous one, Sarah, is my 5th grade grandmother or something. Sarah never got out of here. And neither did we. So, I'd been walking up the hill to the restroom when I saw Jason, who was my mad crush this summer. Think Jason Momoa crossed with Lenny Kravitz with Chris Hemsworth. We jawed a bit and then said goodbye because I had a shower caddy and towel and it was pretty obvious where I was going. He hooked his thumbs into the waistband of his jeans and rocked back a little bit on the path, dislodging a tiny stone towards the grass. Well, you go off to shower. Sorry to have kept you. Oh, you didn't keep me. I tried to be flirty. I failed. He said, The shower, though? Duh. I swallowed hard. I didn't want to leave feeling awkward, but to not go in then would have been doubly awkward. I tried again. You can keep me anytime, Jason. Don't you be giving me ideas. He winked. The wink was so cheesy that I laughed and winked back, shooting a little wave over my shoulder as I headed the last couple of jaunty steps to the bathhouse. A few steps gone, I peeked over my shoulder. He was hoofing it up the hill, but he looked over his shoulder at the exact same time as me and gave a little wave. I waved back, feeling almost hopeful again. This place could be great, maybe. Jason was here. No more ghosts. When I yanked open the door to the building, the bathroom light clicked on, revealing a pretty Spartan setup. There was a row of toilets on one side, a row of sinks in the middle, a row of showers lined the wall on the left. All the stall doors were made of pine wood and upraised from the floor about 1 foot. A towel hung over one of the closed doors, and an old-looking raincoat hung over another. I hauled in a big breath and checked out my reflection in the mirror. My hair was not too overwhelmed by bedhead, and there was nothing in my teeth. I called that a win, and ran over the conversation with Jason as I brushed my teeth. There's no point in liking him, I admonished myself. Even as a friend. You always lose your friends because of the ghosts. Ghosts liked me. I'm like a magnet. I attract them, I swear, I don't know why. I think it's just this town. I see them everywhere. By McDonald's, by the high school, falling off the bridge to Verona. That's why Mom and I have to get out. They eventually follow me home. Someone moaned from the shower stall behind me. I spat and turned around. You okay? There was another moan. A shuffling noise? No. A hand hitting against the shower stall door. Naked toes were poking out. They were covered in blood. Ma'am? You okay? Panic made my voice high, shrill. Still, I was sort of handling it, not freaking out too much. Blood on toes could be anything. A bad shaving cut. She could have hit her head in the shower. A lot of people go down that way, and scalps bleed a lot. I pushed the panic away. Ma'am? I tried again. Miss? My voice sounded calm again. But when the door to the shower stall slammed open, that was when all pretense of calmness rippled right out of me. I couldn't help it, I screamed. She fell forward the moment the shower door opened. I tried to catch her and sort of did. Gasping, I rolled her over. She was still alive. Maybe her eyes were clouded, though it was like she was already gone. Help! I yelled without letting her go. She moaned and shook once. Twice, the door to the bathroom burst open and Jason barged into the building. What the? Are you okay? I need help. I think she's dead. Something happened. I mean, obviously something has happened. My voice was now 3 octaves too high, helium balloon high. Big breaths, Alyssa, calm breaths. Jason squatted next to me, gently took my hands away from where I was clutching the woman's long white shirt. The woman had been in the shower stall, but she was dressed. It was hard to differentiate the blood from the clothes because they were plastered to her form. It was all messy and hard to look at. A huge gash in her neck gaped open as if her flesh had been torn by teeth or a ragged knife. No. Bigger than a knife. The poor woman. I scooted backwards across the blood-soaked floor and up against the walls by the sinks. My back pressed against it. Shock. I thought I was in shock. I flashed back to the stories of Bucksport's witch, Sarah Ware, the ragged, broken skin around her neck. She never got back to Canada. never got out. Breathe, Alyssa. Jason whipped out his cell phone. The woman didn't move. She didn't breathe. She was dead. I knew she was dead. Her head was flopping off to the side. Jason, I whispered. He was talking into the phone. He turned towards me and held up a finger that symbolizes, wait a second. I hate that finger. Jason! I tried again. My voice was weak and tired. I reached out and grabbed his trouser leg. What? She's not dead. He jumped up and back away from the woman, dropping his phone. I started forward, he yanked me back and hauled me up out of the bathroom. My feet slid as I protested. We needed to help her! He didn't stop until we were out the door. He slammed his back against the thick wood like he was holding it closed. What are you doing? I screamed at him. She needs help! She's beyond help. Something scuttled inside the building. A groan, a snapping of teeth. The hard sound reminded me of a dog, rabid and biting the air, jaws clamping shut with the force of a train. Jason. My voice squeaked out. How is she walking around if she's beyond help? He grabbed my bloody hands in his. Alyssa, you have to trust me here, okay? I mean, really, really trust me. Our eyes met. You remember when Adam CV decided you were gay in 5th grade and our vocab word was blithely, which meant gaily, and then for 2 weeks he called you Blythe Alyssa? I did. And I kicked his ass behind the dumpster at recess and wrote pinky prick on his forehead in Sharpie? I did. You need to trust me like that again. Something smashed against the door. Jason's body shook with the impact, but the door stayed shut. Everything inside of me is freaking out, Jason. That's, understandable. A bang, the door shook again. There's a window up near the sinks. I could look in there. I moved towards it just as the door banged again. This time it moved a couple of inches. How about you help me keep this shut? He edged closer to the doorknob, his eyes bleeding. Alyssa. I smacked my back against the door and took position next to him. The door thudded again. The hit resonated through my whole body. There is something really weird going on here, I said. That lady was almost dead. If not dead, she is super hurt at least. And now she's somehow strong enough to walk and try to get out? Why aren't we letting her out? I think she's probably high on bath salts or something. He swallowed hard, but his eyes had the same look as they did when he was fibbing about why he didn't have his biology homework done on time. She could try to kill us. We need to let other people, trained professionals, handle it. No worries. I waved off his apology, but part of me felt sad, remembering how freaked out he looked. The door stopped shaking. I need to go look, I said. Do not open that door. She needs help. We are not trained medical professionals. I glared at him. That's no excuse. We opened the door slowly, listening. Nothing. Ma'am? I whispered. Nothing. No response. Ma'am? Can we help you? Still nothing. And I walked in. There was no blood on the floor. There was no woman anywhere. Look in the stalls, I told Jason, who no longer looked like Jason Momoa crossed with Lenny Kravitz crossed with Chris Hemsworth. He looked like a guy in an insurance commercial who would go bald in 10 years. He looked scared. Me? I maybe swore at him then, but I went and opened each stall. Nothing, and nothing, and nothing again. I checked the showers. Nothing. Where is she? I whispered. He didn't answer. Just pointed to the door to the outside. The same one we'd been trying to hold closed. The one she'd been banging and groaning against. There were words on it, red and darkening as they tried. Jason grabbed my hand as I read them aloud. I am still here. Are you? Sarah Ware. And that's why I need for you all to adopt me. I need out of this town of ghosts and empty mills. I need sunshine and showers where ghosts don't haunt you. I'm sure you've seen the Reddit threads and news reports. People are dying here. Of fright. And me? Every day when I go down to shower, the words are there. Every day, someone writes them in chalk on the little asphalt, one-lane road by our camper. Every day I hear them whispered into my ear, right when I'm falling asleep. I am still here. Are you?
As I said, best to let the dead lie. The 75 lay right over there. Oh, it wasn't me that lit the fire. My brother James did. He insured the town and then he burnt it down. He was a monster that walked the earth taking whatever he wanted. I had to stop him. So I did. He's right there. I dug that hole too. No one will ever remember him. That's right. We'll forget him too. Come along, it's time to go. We have our gold. There's nothing left for us here. Hopefully you learned something. I know I did. Old Machias Rice can still learn a lesson. Or even two. Still, I'd keep my hands to myself. You never know what's reaching out for you from the dark.